The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
And good morning here at 5 a.m. Good to have you with us. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher. Yet another gorgeous day across the Golden Empire yesterday.
Absolutely. It is really gorgeous outside. But you know what I'm starting to notice is it really does get warm in the afternoon, at least here on the valley floors. We're starting to see us get closer and closer to the summer days. Let's turn things over to Kevin Charette. Has a look at our forecast and our warm high temperature from yesterday. Kevin?
Yeah, it's we've seen a roller coaster, and the temperatures kind of up and down. Yesterday we hit 84 degrees in Bakersfield, so it was definitely warm if you were out and about, and we're going to be looking at some warm temperatures again today. Let's take you outside. Currently we've got 62 degrees on the temperature, just a light wind out of the north at 9 miles per hour. And as we take a look at the hour-by-hour forecast here, mid-60s by 9 a.m., 73 at 11, and then 82 by 3. Into the mountains, Tehachapi right now under clear skies, a temperature of 50, a west wind at 13, so a little bit of a breeze out that way. And you can see the strongest of the winds. We have a light breeze over the Grapevine through Tehachapi and up into the Kern River Valley. There is a wind advisory as these winds will pick up a little bit this afternoon until 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. And I also expect a little bit of a breeze to pick up here in the valley throughout the evening hours tonight. As we take a look at the hour by hour here, upper 50s by 9 a.m. We're looking at mid-60s and that breeze throughout the afternoon. We'll talk more weather in just a little bit. For now, back over to you.
All right, thanks so much, Kevin. We begin this morning with a community effort to honor the life of a 17-year-old boy who was hit and killed by a train in northwest Bakersfield. Just before the sun went down last night, at least 100 people gathered near the site of the accident just off Santa Fe Way north of Renfro Road. Bakersfield police say the crash happened on the railroad tracks in that same area around 6:30 Sunday evening. Those in attendance fondly remembered the late high school student referred to as AJ as a great young man. BNSF Railway investigators are handling the investigation with the help of Bakersfield police. The cause is still under investigation. Anyone with information is asked to call BNSF Railway at 1-800-832-5452.
The city of Arvin will have a new full-time police chief for the first time in more than a year. Edwin Brock has accepted the job offer at a salary of $120,000. Final approval must come from City Council at today's 6 p.m. meeting. Brock's hiring would come over a year after the resignation of Chief Scott Kimball. Before Kimball was hired in Arvin, he reportedly padded the paychecks of officers who did housework for him while he led the McFarland Police Department, something he was convicted for in February last year. In your 17 Crime Watch, a suspected murderer who led police in Southern California on a chase is back in Kern County and behind bars. You may remember the 2-hour high-speed chase in Riverside County last week. Police say 46-year-old Michael Caleb Reed was behind the wheel and trying to escape, but the chase came to an end when a truck driver blocked Reed's way out. We've learned Reed was transported back to Bakersfield over the weekend and now faces multiple charges, including murder. Kcso confirmed Reed's arrest is in connection to the shooting of Michael Lewis on Harrison Drive in Oildale last month. Reed was nearly caught by U.S. Marshals after the shooting, but it wasn't until he crashed into the semi when he was arrested. Reed is due in court tomorrow. Kcso says the shooting investigation is still ongoing. Meanwhile, we are learning new tragic details about a recent murder in Bakersfield. We reported earlier this month a woman's body was found inside the Saunders Park Villa on Real Road. Yesterday, we learned the victim was Jody Arvizu. Her sister started a GoFundMe asking people for donations not just to help with the funeral expenses, but to help her 3 sons. Jessica Richardson says her sister was a passionate and hardworking woman whose 3 sons were the pride of her life. BPD arrested 46-year-old Jared Oliver after her body was found on April 1st. He has pleaded not guilty to murder.
Your time now is 5:04. A security dog at the Valley Plaza Mall is now able to detect firearms after receiving special training. The mall announced the canine recently received special training to detect guns. The dog will patrol the mall with a security officer as a safety precaution. John Baker, the general manager of Valley Plaza Mall, said they didn't launch the program because there was a problem, but because it's good proactive program. He added that the new canine weapon detection program is an added safety measure to offer extra comfort to shopping communities. And now to an update on the Cal State Bakersfield basketball player who's been fighting for his life after a car crash in San Diego. The family of Ronnie Reedus released a statement yesterday saying that Reedus has been improving and his status has been upgraded from critical to serious. He's currently stable, awake, alert, and breathing on his own. Reedus was seriously injured in a crash at the beginning of the month. A GoFundMe page has been created to help the family with medical expenses. If you'd like to donate, we've included a link to the GoFundMe on our website, kget.com.
Police need help identifying a hit-and-run driver from July of last year, and they're releasing new details on the case. BPD has identified a window sticker on the suspect vehicle that killed Deborah and Janneau. Police say the car is a 2013 to 2019 dark gray Nissan Sentra and had a Proposition 65 warning sticker on the driver's side windshield. Janneau was hit and killed on July 22nd on Don Hart Drive near CSU Bakersfield. The suspect took off and still has not been caught. The family of Janneau and Bakersfield law firm Chain Cone Styles are offering a $7,500 reward for anyone who helps identify the driver. If you have any information, you can call Kern Secret Witness at 322-4040.
Homelessness is one of our signature issues here at KGET. It's an ongoing problem that speaks to a larger issue in our community. No doubt it's been a challenging year for so many, including those trying to survive on our streets and those living in local shelters. Now supervisors are set to take up spending proposals at today's meeting to help the most vulnerable. The Bakersfield Kern Regional Homeless Collaborative, or BKRHC, says during the fourth quarter of last year, between October and December 2020, there were 765 new reports of homelessness in Kern, a 23% increase from the previous quarter. Today, supervisors are set to allocate $30,000 in CARES Act federal funding to the Homeless Collaborative to fund temporary housing for those who either have tested positive for COVID-19 or are suspected of having the virus. BKRHC Executive Director Anna Levin says one such place for temporary housing, the Kern County Fairgrounds. For the last year, Kern Medical's operated 15 temporary isolation trailer units there.
This not only supports those who are experiencing homelessness, but it supports the entire community, right? Like you don't want someone who's either positive or thinks they might be positive to be out in the community either, right? You want to provide opportunities for isolation.
Supervisors are also set to allocate federal funding to several local service providers, including $8,500 to a Flood Bakersfield Ministries. Funding will help with outreach to men and women. As for those trailers, we're told they're empty right now, but remain on standby.
Clinica Sierra Vista is now offering rapid COVID-19 testing and COVID-19 vaccinations. Call 833-278-4584 to make your appointment. But don't delay. Clinica Sierra Vista, putting patients first.
Bakersfield Behavioral Healthcare Hospital is holding a career fair today, and they're looking to fill a handful of positions. BBHH says it's currently looking for registered nurses, therapists, mental health workers, cooks, and more. It will be interviewing candidates today from 9 a.m. till noon at 5201 White Lane. The hospital asks those who participate to bring their resume, be prepared for on-the-spot interviews, and bring all identification in order to complete the hiring process.
5:08 your time now. Community members are decorating the fence around Sumner Station in Old Town Kern as a way of showing hope for the future of the building. 17's Robert Price first reported last month that the Union Pacific train station, built more than 130 years ago, is in danger of being demolished. The hub of Bakersfield's urging residents to do their part to support the effort to save it by adding flowers or colorful yarn to the fence and signing the petition. For more information, you can visit our website, kget.com, and click the hot link icon. And we're back here at 5:18 in Knoxville, Tennessee. Shots fired inside a high school. One person's dead. A police officer suffered a gunshot wound, and the motive is under investigation. The story now from NBC's Dan Scheneman.
Police called to a Knoxville high school. The report, someone armed with a gun may be inside.
Officers located the individual in the school in a restroom. They ordered him out, but he refused to comply. As officers entered the space, the subject reportedly fired shots, striking an officer. One officer returned fire. The suspect was pronounced dead at the scene and has since been identified as a student at Austin East.
The injured officer, before undergoing surgery for a leg wound, spoke to the city's mayor.
I thanked him for putting his life on the line to protect the students and staff at the school, and he said he'd rather that he be hurt than anybody else.
Police have not commented on a possible motive.
This was unfortunate. This is not Knoxville. This is not the community that we are.
The investigation is ongoing. Dan Sheneman, NBC News.
Meantime, fallen Capitol Police Officer William Billy Evans will lay in honor at the Capitol Rotunda today. Due to the pandemic, the ceremony will be open to inviting guests only. The Capitol Police and members of Congress will attend the viewing in the Rotunda. President Biden is expected as well. Officer Evans was an 18-year veteran of the Capitol Police who was killed in the line of duty on April 2nd when a man ran his car into a Capitol barricade, then got out of the car wielding a knife.
The families of Daunte Wright and George Floyd, along with civil rights attorney Ben Crump, will hold a news conference today in Minneapolis. Wright was killed when Brooklyn Center police officer Kim Potter shot him during an arrest on Sunday in what authorities have called an accidental shooting. Potter could be heard yelling "taser" on body cam before she fired a shot, killing the 20-year-old Wright. Potter had been with Brooklyn Center Police Department for 26 years and has been placed on administrative leave pending an investigation. More on this story coming up at 5:30.
KGET Business Watch is brought to you by Grapevine MSP Technology Services, the Valley's leading IT service provider.
Welcome back to your 17 Business Watch, and you have another chance to get your name in lights. The Fox Theater is now offering dates in May to book a marquee message. You may remember the theater started Marquee Inspired, a chance for guests to use their marquee to send a special message. It could be to celebrate a loved one or a special occasion, and it's just a way for the theater to raise much needed funding during the coronavirus pandemic. Dates are booked on a first-come, first-served basis. Cotton On Kids is now open at the outlets at Tahoe. It is an expansion of the Cotton On store after it moved into a bigger space at the outlet mall. The new location allows the company to now sell kids' clothing in addition to clothes for adults. The general manager for the outlet says the expansion is just the start of new things to come for the outlets and its shoppers.
Some of the biggest sneaker collectors these days are women. CNBC's Andrea Day introduces the sneaker-obsessed females changing the game and making history, selling off part of their collections.
I'm just a girl who loves sneakers.
And that love, now an obsession for influencer and model Bianca DeRoos.
I definitely haven't kept track, honestly, on how much I've spent. These are my top 3, and I absolutely love them.
300 pairs and counting, but that's nothing compared to this.
We've amassed well over 6,000 pairs.
Meet the Peter sisters, Ariana, Dresden, and Dakota, known as the Chicks with Kicks on Instagram.
The majority of our collection began with Air Force Ones.
Their passion for kicks inherited from their dad. He started collecting in the 80s, handing it all over to his daughters 8 years ago. They took the mostly men's shoe collection digital, selling on Instagram. And Ariana says women are getting into the game now more than ever. Sales to female buyers up 75% over last year.
Women are very sneaker obsessed and are just as involved in the community as the men.
And now the sisters are making sneaker history, launching one of the largest sneaker auctions ever, more than 2,200 up for sale on eBay.
This collection will be one of the most coveted and sought after collections within the sneakerhead culture.
4 pairs of Reeboks designed for Kanye West. Starting bid, $13,000. And these one-of-a-kind laser-engraved Air Force Ones, starting at $18,000.
Have you noticed a rise in more women buying sneakers?
Our business was up 80% in the women's sneaker category. Our growth doubled last year for women buying men's sneakers.
What's behind all of this?
They want to have choices, so why would they not look at men's sneakers? And many times there are more options.
90% of my collection is men's sneakers. Brands are starting to see, like, these women are actually spending money. Why don't we do something for them?
They're including us in a lot of these drops, and it gives women the ability to really get involved, share their voice, express themselves through their sneakers, and start collections if they want to.
And check this out. The Chicks let me borrow a pair from the collection. These are very rare Air Jordans from 1985, size 12. Starting bid on these, $6,500. For CNBC, I'm Andrea Day.
I have a question. How much money
have
have
so
you?
many questions.
How much money have you spent on shoes? Like a top amount for a pair?
I mean, I've bought some really expensive sneakers for trail running for like $120. That was probably the most I've ever spent. That was a huge splurge.
I don't think I've ever spent anything more than $100 on shoes.
And that's fair, and
like
I usually would
and
not
stuff.
either. And also collecting shoes is so weird to me because I wear my shoes.
Yeah.
Like, just looking at them, no.
Our director, he collects shoes.
I know, and I
so-
just don't understand that. It's so strange to me.
Congressional support for President Biden's wide-ranging infrastructure package will likely dominate the agenda when he meets with lawmakers from the Congressional Black Caucus later today. Also sure to be discussed, the push for police reform, made more urgent after the death of another black man in the hands of a police officer in Minnesota.
A warning, body cam video from that incident may be disturbing. Alice Barr has the latest now from Washington.
Good morning, Maddie and Alex. This is the second straight day President Biden is bringing lawmakers to the White House, but growing calls for police reform may overshadow his focus on infrastructure.
Around the country, all over the world.
President Biden meeting today with members of the Congressional Black Caucus as he seeks support for a massive jobs and infrastructure plan.
This is a moment for American strength and American unity.
The president met yesterday with a handful of lawmakers from both parties trying to break through Republican opposition to the plan's roughly $2 trillion price tag and its scope.
The White House has lumped together a motley assortment of the left's priciest priorities.
Today's meeting sure to touch on calls for police reform as well, amid protests and pain over the fatal police shooting of a 20-year-old black man, Daunte Wright, just outside Minneapolis, where the murder trial for George Floyd is underway. Police released body cam video, a warning these images may be disturbing. The chief said the officer appears to have accidentally fired her gun instead of her taser. President Biden calling for justice and calm.
We do know that the anger, pain, and trauma that exists in the black community in that environment is real. It's serious and it's consequential, but it will not justify violence and or looting.
Get out of the car! Adding to the outrage, this viral video of a tense traffic stop in Virginia. Hold on. The police officer accused of pepper spraying a black and Latino military officer and forcing him to the ground, now fired. President Biden campaigned on promises of police reform, and the White House says it remains a priority. Focus now on backing legislative change through the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. In Washington, Alice Barr, 17 News.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.